Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Indie Artist Music Hustle with Blonde Intelligence. I'm your host, Miss Ronnie. And before we get started, I need you to hit that like, share, and subscribe button before we can get into the logarithms for YouTube. Now, we have a very special guest today. We have Carlos Morgan. Say hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well and being safe, staying safe. It's a
How are
pleasure for
you
me to
doing?
be here. Thank you.
Are
I'm
you?
good, and thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to start out with letting you take over and tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Again, my name is Carlos Morgan. Uh, Born and raised in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Um, my parents are from Jamaica. Um, I am the fourth of six children, so I'm the first generation Canadian to my family. I joined my first band. I was the youngest member of a gospel band of the church that we were a part of. I was the lead singer and only singer for this gospel band, and we toured all over Eastern Canada and parts of Eastern US. So the
Mm-hmm.
song that I was known for singing in the church band was Precious Lord.
Okay.
Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. That was one of the songs. And so I was with this band for 5 years. And then when I turned 16,
Mm-hmm.
I started singing in clubs. And
What made you make
I
that?
was, well, well, for various reasons. And I'll be honest, I became disillusioned with the church. Um, and in retrospect, though I became disillusioned with the church, I still loved singing gospel music. But my father played music in the home when I was growing up, in our home growing up. So I loved gospel, but I was heavy into R&B, as most artists do. Church and gospel music is their foundation, and then they branch off into going into, especially in my opinion, from my experience, and all the artists that I love in black music, gospel and hymns is what they grew up singing, and then they got into R&B and soul and funk and whatever other genre of black music, predominantly black music, they perform. So I followed in that same trend, and then I started getting into some theater. I got into musical theater, and I did a couple of musical theater shows at the same time. One that was very popular, that was based off of Doris Troy, Mama, I Want to Sing. They had a Canadian cast, and I did that for a year. And then in 1991, I moved to New York, and I was lead singing for a funk R&B soul band. Most of the members were based out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I was the only Canadian.
I
Okay.
was listening to an interview with, I don't know if you ever heard of him or not, but his name is, he's a rapper. His name is Mace. And he's
Yes, I know.
also, yeah. So I was listening to one of his interviews, and he was saying, y'all don't know what I go through to bring you the music. Just because he's a preacher don't mean that he can't bring you the music. So tell me, what did you face from the church when you decided that you wanted to do some secular music? And how did that affect you psychologically?
Great question. That's a really great question. I don't think the church cared very much, in my opinion, or as far as I'm concerned, or where I was concerned. I had a very troubled home life. I had a very traumatic, very abusive home life. And so I found growing up in my going to church and living through a very traumatic, tumultuous, abusive home life, and looking to the church for protection and guidance, and I didn't get it from the church. So me leaving the church that I attended and going into gospel, or then turning into secular music, or starting to perform secular music, I don't think they really cared, in my opinion. It's not, they never called me and said, hey, Carlos, we don't see you at church. What's going on? How come you're not coming back? It was like, okay, he's gone. Right?
Well,
psychologically,
they'll call you.
yeah. Now, when I would go back and visit the church, members of the church would be like, you should come and sing for God and come and sing for the Lord. And I'd always get that. You must come up, especially the older mothers and grandmothers. They always say, Carlos, you should come back to church, and sing for God and sing for the Lord. They're like, yes, mother, or yes, auntie, or yes, mister, or yes, sister so-and-so, yes, brother so-and-so, come back, sing for the Lord. So I don't think it really, it didn't, I don't think the church really cared. And psychologically, how it was for me psychologically, I didn't understand the implications or any ramifications and or repercussions psychologically of me leaving the church and going into singing secular music. I didn't have that kind of insight or foresight or wisdom when I was 16, 17 years old.
But could it be, though, possibly, because I was listening to you when you were saying you need to come back to sing for the Lord and all this different type of things. This is me, I think differently. Even when you're going through those times, I feel like the Lord walks beside you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So how could somebody say you need to come back and do this? If God give you a talent and you still talk to God and you still have that relationship with God and God knows your heart, then really what is the difference between I would say gospel and R&B, other than in gospel you're singing to the glory of God, and in R&B you're singing about other things that happen in life, such as with country music. They tell a story. Now, you do have some bad apples where somebody will put out music that is not inspirational, that will create negative effects. But I feel like that if the whole goal is to do good or to uplift somebody, even if it's not gospel music, it's still considered happy music to me.
And I see your point. But now being at the age that I'm at and all the life experiences that I've had and understanding, as you said, singing about love in R&B and soul, we sing about love or happiness.
They'll sing about a barbecue.
Pardon me?
They would sing about a barbecue.
That's true. But now, as I said, now that I'm older and I have more wisdom and life experience, I think when you're singing R&B songs and there's positive messages, I personally feel that it does not send the same message and have the same power and power in the message that singing about the glory and the glory and the power of Jehovah, of the Almighty God. I think, and especially now that we're living in the times that we're living in and seeing what's going on around the world, when I put R&B music, even if it's the most positive R&B song, and I listen to a gospel song, the power the energy and the power and the emotions that I feel, the energy and the feeling that I had singing a classic gospel hymn, the emotions that I felt were much different than singing the Luther Vandross song.
I got you. So let me ask you this then. Remember, and I don't know if you remember, is this song by Music Soul Child called Love. Remember that song?
Love that song. Love it.
Okay. Then there was a gospel version of it with almost the same words, except the gospel song was singing about the love of the Lord. And
Okay.
And it was the same music, the same everything. I thought that you would be familiar with it, but we could talk about it again in another interview. But I want you to compare
Yeah.
those two because they are exactly the same. Um, Instead of saying love in one song, he was saying Lord in the other song. And it does give,
Oh, I see.
yeah, it does give a different feeling, but I want to know your take on it, hearing them side by side, knowing that they're not two different songs. They're two of the same songs, but one is gospel and one is R&B. Such as
Yeah, I
Jesus is
still.
Love, when Lionel Richie done Jesus is Love, and then when Yolanda Adams performed Jesus is Love. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Okay, perfect example. Those are great examples. Or even take, and not to mention his name, but when I heard, I think Yolanda Adams did a version of R. Kelly's "I Believe I Can Fly," or somebody did a gospel version of "I Believe I Can Fly" compared
Okay.
to R. Kelly's, right? So again, whether it's Lord, Love, Lord, or Jesus is Love by the Commodores versus Yolanda, or to me, where you're singing about the power and the glory of God, Jehovah, okay, and those same songs, like there's just something about, and again, when you're singing, again, it's when you're singing about God and you're singing about Jesus Christ, it's like there's
That's a
something more higher.
for you to say the song. What's his name? Rance Allen. Something about that name, Jesus.
Something about that name, yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
no, you
It's like, like, and again, here's the thing. There are, maybe it's just me personally, but I love singers like, okay, so Charlie Wilson is another one of my all-time favorite singers. But when I listen to Charlie Wilson sing gospel, I've heard him sing gospel. Something about his voice for me goes to a whole other dimension and level than him singing just his regular R&B songs, right? Or switch it. I've recently heard Tamla Mann sing a duet with her husband David Mann,
Mhm.
and Emma and I were listening, and I said, when did Tamla Mann start singing R&B? Or when did Tamla and David Mann start singing R&B? Because to me, it didn't feel the same as when I hear her sing her gospel records. So it's like now R&B and gospel, in my opinion, are like first cousins. The only thing that makes them different are the lyrics.
Yeah.
You could put uh, R&B lyrics over gospel music, gospel production, or and vice versa. You can put gospel lyrics over R&B. They do it all the time. And you just mentioned 3 songs. We just talked about 3 songs right there. So they're like first cousins. They're like twins. But gospel music is like, right? But for me, my heart and soul is R&B. But at many times I feel that draw going back to gospel, or including more gospel music or inspirational music in my songwriting and the songs that I write. Which brings me to my next. I released a single 3.5 years ago, which I'll be putting on my new album called Have a Little Faith.
Okay.
And the music video is on YouTube and it's on streaming on Spotify. But I wrote the song with 2 other songwriters, but we did it more of in a country singer-songwriter style.
Okay.
It wasn't done because I love all genres of music. So R&B, soul, and gospel and reggae and jazz are my base. But I love country. I love singer-songwriter. I love jazz. I love hip-hop. Love reggae, love blues. I love classic rock. The only genres of music, I love classical. The only genres of music I'm not into is like grunge. I'm like, no, turn that off. Right? I'm not too crazy about.
I love it. I really don't. This gonna sound bad. Oh, I really don't like the blues because
Oh, okay.
I feel like that is nasty old men singing about nasty stuff.
Oh, okay. I've not heard a lot of blues music that to me, it just, a lot of the blues music to me sounds like they have the same chord progressions, and they talk about, heartbreak, woman leaving them, they cheated on their woman, or the woman cheated on them, or, but now, is that what you mean by nasty? Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, I see your point. I see your point.
So
Yeah.
tell me, and this is not a race question, but we all have our own stereotypes and everything. So I'm gonna ask you this question. Because you've been a gospel singer, people have in their mind, quote unquote, what gospel is. And like gospel is kind of like black music. And that when white people or other races sing gospel, I don't know what to even, but they'll
I
call
call
it
it more Christian.
yeah, they'll call it Christian or spiritual music or inspirational music. Why? My question is, why do you not think that if it's all about spirituality, why is it not all considered gospel? What is the difference between gospel and Christian music?
Well, well, number one, gospel music is a black created art form, and I'm proud to say it, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I am definitely not afraid to say it. Gospel music is a black art form.
So is rap, and we have rappers in from all walks of life.
Very true. But the basis of hip hop, basis of rap, basis of gospel, all genres of music come from us. We are the creators of 99% genres of music. Maybe not classical, but anything that is more Western canon styles of music come from our ancestry, come from us. So for me, I'm like this. Everybody should have the freedom to create and write and perform the genres of music that they love. But for me, because of our history as black people and what we have endured and still endured when it comes to the effects of post-slavery, we still deal with racism, white supremacy, black erasure, all these things that continue to oppress us as a people. So for me, if other cultures or races of people, and I'm going to call it out, I'm calling it out. I don't care if people want to call me racist. And as far as I'm concerned, we as black people cannot be racist, because racism has to do with power. Power in terms of institution, structure, systemic, and social. That for me is what racism is about. We can be racist. We could be prejudiced or have racial bias or racial hatred. But to be racist, to me, there's a difference. But that's a whole other conversation. So for me, if other people want to perform what I believe, what I know is black rooted, black founded genres of music, then honor the creators of the music. For example, I am learning more about indigenous culture and indigeneity. Mm-hmm. I've taken up a very strong love and wanted to be educated and understand about indigenous culture, indigenous music, because the land that United States and Canada sits on is indigenous land. We are all immigrants in America and Canada. Unless we are indigenous people, we are all immigrants to America and to Canada.
Did you hear me?
Now, if
You should
yes,
come
I
to
do, yes.
you should come to
I'm
Oklahoma.
sorry.
You should come to
I would love
Oklahoma.
to. I
Because
would love to.
they have tribes there.
Oh, I would love to. Like, I want to learn about indigenous culture around the world.
Hmm.
So now, if I were to sing indigenous music, the first people I'm always going to say is, I give honor and respect and acknowledge the creators and the founders of this music. I'm not going to come around and say, well, yo, I'm so and so and I'm performing this song, and it include indigenous styles of music or in my music and say, oh, I'm this and I'm that. Yet I'm not saying, yeah, I'm including this indigenous culture into my music. I'm going to acknowledge it. I'm going to acknowledge the people. I'm going to acknowledge that I'm going to give honor to the people. So when I find there are a lot of, and I'm going to say it, a lot of white people or white artists who are doing black music or R&B, or they're doing R&B, soul, whatever, I find it upsetting, sometimes infuriating, when there seems to be this attitude of, well, yeah, we're coming in to black spaces and black culture, and they will show appreciation, and they will work with black artists and sing with and work with black musicians and producers and singers, etc. But there always seems to be some element of not giving real, true honor and respect and acknowledge to the founders of the music. For example, one artist that I think of is like Sam Smith. He would have the audacity to be disrespectful to Michael Jackson. And Michael Jackson, people say whatever they want about MJ.
He's ice cold.
Musically,
can't nobody top him.
Yeah, exactly. So you can, an artist like Sam Smith, who's very successful, can make disparaging remarks about Michael Jackson. Now I understand music is subjective. We have our likes, we have our dislikes, we have artists that we like, artists that we don't vibe with, right? But that's fine. I get that. But you don't disrespect someone, a black artist who did so much, not just for black music, but for music, period. But his roots are based in R&B, soul, funk, and pop. Prince is another one. You don't turn around and diss, or James Brown, and we can like, there's so many. But so when white artists step into, it's like what Lord Jamar said.
You hear me? James Brown was a fighter. They would have to diss him from miles away.
Exactly. It's like what Lord Jamar said. You know what? When white hip-hop artists come into hip-hop, they are guests in the house of hip-hop. And respect the host. You respect the host, and you acknowledge the host when you come into the house of hip-hop. And I agree with that. Lord Jamar, I used to be like, yeah, Lord Jamar, speak truth. When you come into hip-hop,
I think about things a little bit different sometimes. And I know people with that. I know that there's white privilege, but I think that all of us are black. I watched a show on Oprah one time. I think it was Abraham Lincoln. I think it was Abraham Lincoln, his children and ancestors and everything was on there. And they had a white side of the family and they had a black side of the family. And they all
looked Jefferson.
They all looked the same. And even the black ones and the white ones look just alike. And like my great grandmother, she was white. I mean, so it's like, to me, all of us have some of the same blood in us. So even when I look at rap, yeah, there's other cultures that try to enter rap, but I don't look at it like that, because there's been some great Latino rappers. There has been some great
True.
white. I love Eminem. I mean, some black artists cannot do what he do. So I think that
That's true
music,
too. Yep.
I think music is universal, and I don't think that it's a black or a white thing. That's why I was asking you about the Christian and the inspirational music and all of that. I think the only difference is the beat.
Is what?
The beat.
The beat? The beat?
The actual music itself is the difference. The style of music. Because with gospel you have more upbeat, you have more melody and everything. And sometimes you'll go, and some churches only use just their hands. It's still an instrument.
Right.
Some churches do not allow you to have a drum set, but you can have a guitar, where they have more like folk music. So I think the message and the words are the same. The only difference is the actual music.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. You think so? Wait, let me try to reiterate this. You're saying that you feel the music is the same?
Different. That's the difference.
That's the difference. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, that's true. A lot of the message. So the message.
Why I say that is I had an interview with a artist. I cannot remember what she started off with, but she was more of a Broadway musical type of person. And I was telling her in the interview, watching the show one time, and it was this girl, she sung gospel music. And they was like, now give me your Celine Dion version. Now give me this version. So you have like different versions of the same song. And I just actually feel like the only difference is some of the music is more rougher, some of it is smoother, more upbeat. Some of it is more simplistic, but it's actually just the music. It's not the message. So I don't know why they would call some of it spiritual, some of it Christian, some of it gospel. I think that the reason why is because of the actual music.
Well, yeah, that's true. Because when you listen to gospel, to me, gospel and I think it's what I'm reiterating what you're saying, but in a different way. Gospel and Christian music, same message, but the sounds are different.
Right.
Yeah. Like I've listened to, sometimes I've asked the same question. So I'm like, okay, well, gospel and Christian, the message is basically the love and saving grace of God and Jesus Christ. It's spreading the gospel of the good news of Jesus Christ. That's what gospel music is, and I'm assuming supposedly what Christian music is. And so the messages are the same. But what makes the messages are the same? Gospel is coming from a black perspective, where Christian, quote unquote, is coming more from the, let's say, the evangelical perspective.
But how do you know that?
Again, I think it's based on the sound. It's based on what you said, based on the music.
Okay.
Right? I personally, and again, I gravitate to more gospel because that's what resonates more with me. And again, it's created and performed by black artists. So it's the same thing with, like, say, rock and R&B.
I
like rock. I love classic rock, but how many black classic rock artists are there?
It's only,
like classic rock, like.
Say again? I said it's only a few, but I love rock, and I actually, for me, and I could be wrong, they say that Prince is pop. To me, I would put Prince in a rock category, and it wouldn't be classic. I think that he's
Prince,
a whole genre of his own because he's different, but a lot of his basis comes from rock.
you think so?
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a.
He sings a lot like a metal singer sometimes.
Like a heavy metal singer. You think so?
Mm-hmm. He reminds.
He does that.
Yep. I mean, okay. So although people do that in gospel, would you consider Prince a gospel singer?
No, but I'm sure if he wanted to do gospel, he could, or he would.
Okay.
Because, like, okay, take a song like, okay, you know that song by Adore? Until the end of time, I'll be there for you. Okay, you listen to just that part alone.
That out, but they won't flag me.
Now, if you were to put like that melody of those chord progressions, da, 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 thank you, Jesus. Right? It's still got that. It's got a bit of that gospel chord progressions in there.
I don't know. I would say because our brain develops schemas, such as if you see a person play a role. Let's just say Mike Epps, and Mike Epps decides that he wants to play. What would something be far-fetched for Mike Epps? I don't know. His name just came up. But we have our perception in our mind of what type of characters he would play. And it would seem out of place for him to play like an alien that's coming to eat humans or something. I couldn't even, my favorite movie is The Matrix. I couldn't even picture him being in The Matrix because I have a perception of the type of movies that he play in. So when especially classic music, I don't think that people can change classic music, not real classic music like that, without taking away from it. And the only one, well, it's not probably the only one that I've seen that somebody didn't agree with that I really did like. I liked Kanye's West. What is it? Through the Wire. The remake. Right. I love that, and I was watching the interview that she done. She didn't like it. She was like, he messed my song up. But I'm like, no, he didn't. He pulled in a whole new generation that didn't know anything about you.
That's true too. But I think what made Shaka Khan not like what Kanye did is the way he sped up her vocal. Like her vocal, like it sounded like a chipmunk.
It did.
And I think that's probably why she was like, I know Shaka Khan is a singer. Like, she's a singing sister.
My favorite singer is Vanessa Bell Armstrong. I think that she's amazing. I love her. I would say out of everybody, I could listen to her all day. She
really?
can sing. Yes.
Wow.
And I knew that was her voice on Amen before they even revealed it. I was like, that's that lady.
The TV show?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Like.
Wow. You mean the TV show from the 80s with Sherman Hemsley?
Yes.
Oh.
That's her. And I knew it.
That's her. Wow.
I knew it because my mama had a Vanessa Bell Armstrong album, and my favorite song by her is, and it's a remake of a song, but she was like, I don't want my work to be in vain. That's my favorite song by her. So I knew when I heard that song, I knew that was that lady.
Wow. Yeah, you don't hear. She is extremely well respected in the gospel music industry, but she doesn't get at the same time, she doesn't get the props that I feel that she should be getting. But there are many gospel singers, many singers. You're like.
So tell everybody your latest single, where they can find you, your social media handles, and anything about Carlos Morgan.
Yeah, my latest single is called "We're Gonna Make It." You can find it on my Carlos Morgan Spotify page. I released a remix this past week, the LOS hip hop remix for the single. The music video is on YouTube as well. I'm releasing a new album in the fall called "Where I've Been, Where I'm Going."
Okay.
People can find me on Instagram, Carlos Morgan Music. Facebook, carlos.morgan.562. I did have a Twitter account, but I got hacked into. I have a website, carlosmorganmusic.com, but it's up right now, but it's going to be going through some major changes in the next weeks and months. People, please reach out to me if you want to reach out to me, and please stream my music. Please let me know what you think. I always respond to my messages. I try my best to respond within 24 to 48 hours of responding to people, because I like interacting with people who reach out to me, and I appreciate when people take the time to positive or negative comments and feedback, because I'm still learning. I'm still growing as an artist. Although I've been in this business for almost 30 years. And you've shared a lot of knowledge with me that I'm definitely going to be calling on you. I'm going to be like, when we get off this, I'm like, I got your website up on my screen right now. I'm like, I got to work with you, girl. So yeah, that's where people can find me. My music on Spotify, or you could download my music on iTunes, Apple Music, Deezer, Google Play. Yeah, that's. And I'm trying to make, again, I want to break into the American music market. My career has been predominantly in Canada, and I want to go global now. I should have done it a long time ago, but for various reasons, I decided to stay in Canada. But now I want to break into the US. I want to work with people in the US. I want to work with musicians, artists, and people that are on the business side, because I run my own record label as well. And there's so much that I want to learn in terms of the business side. I know a lot, but obviously there's a lot that I don't know. And I'm an independent artist, and I love music. I'm in love with music, and it's something I plan to do until God calls me from this life. And yeah, so that's me. So thanks to everyone who's listening. Please check out my music, Carlos Morgan.
All right. Well, I thank you for coming. I want to let everybody know that you can find us on all podcasting platforms. You can find us on Spotify video for podcasts. Find us on YouTube. You can check out the website, www.blonde-intelligence.com. And do not forget to hit that subscribe button and hit all notifications. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.